Didn't feel like it in Gaza today, but slowly, tentatively, the pieces of a potential ceasefire are moving into place. They're not in position yet, though, and in the meantime, another series of Israeli strikes this morning. This man says his brother has just been killed, but there's no time to process grief in Gaza. And no other option for the displaced but cautious, fragile optimism that the Trump plan will work.
We have wanted to hear about this proposal for some time, and we agree to it. We want to end the war by any means possible because we are tired.
We were happy when we heard Hamas's response, but deep down we're not, because all our dearest ones have already died. May this torrent of blood stop and we may return to our homes safely.
The IDF said today that they were moving into defensive positions inside the Strip ahead of the possible release of hostages. But from southern Israel this morning, we saw multiple strikes on Gaza City. Donald Trump has told Israel to stop bombing Gaza ahead of a would-be hostage release. We've been here for about half an hour keeping an eye on the skyline of Gaza City, and we've seen 4 or 5 strikes on the city itself. Donald J. Trump brings his name and his momentum to this would-be peace deal. Yesterday, after Hamas said they would release all the hostages, Trump said he believes Hamas is ready to accept the deal.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down and concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home.
Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel is preparing to implement the first phase of the plan. Although the chronology isn't clear, this presumably means stopping offensive maneuvers in Gaza to facilitate hostage release. Another part of the jigsaw falling into place. Steve Witkoff, the US Middle East envoy, along with Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, traveling to Egypt to try to push this over the line. There they'll be joined by senior Israeli and Arab representatives. Hamas negotiators also expected to be present. There are plenty of potential sticking points. Hamas's broad brush acceptance of the Trump plan gives us clues as to what they might be. So let's look at some of the detail in this Hamas statement. First, they say they're going to hand over all of the hostages in time for this Donald Trump deadline. Also, they do talk about, quote, a renewed agreement to hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to Palestinian independence technocrats, in other words. But what's also significant in the statement is what is not said. So there is no reference, for example, to disarmament. Also, they don't talk about stepping away from the future governance of Gaza. Nimrod Cohen was 19 when he was taken hostage by Hamas on October the 7th. The young soldier dragged from his tank 2 birthdays ago. As the clock ticks down to his possible release, we spoke to his father and mother this morning. Do you have to stop yourself from envisaging what a reunion will be like in order to give yourself a little bit of emotional preservation?
We are realistic.
Yeah.
We had a few points in the past that it almost happened. The deal before when Israel didn't go back to the second phase of the deal, we thought Nimrod will be back home. He was supposed to be back, and it didn't happen, and we were deeply disappointed there on that moment. And we don't want to be disappointed again. So we are realistic. We feel hope, and deep in the heart, I'm glad and I feel joy, but I'm how do you say, ipuk?
Restrained.
Yeah.
We asked them what's changed to bring us to this point, so close to a possible hostage release.
I will put it in one sentence. The big step forward is the fact that Trump took control. Trump was forcing Netanyahu to take the plan. Trump is not working anymore for Netanyahu, he's really working for the state of Israel.
When Nimrod Cohen was dragged from his tank, he left behind his Rubik's Cube, a symbol perhaps of what's at stake here. When negotiators align, unlock the possibility of an end to the violence.
Well, shortly before we came on air, I spoke to Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sharon Haskell, who's visiting the UK. I began by asking when Israel would enact the ceasefire, as President Trump has asked them to.
Unfortunately, Hamas is not there. Hamas hasn't replied for many days, and we will continue with our efforts to bring back the hostages and to disarm Hamas.
So you won't stop the fighting until Hamas agrees to the deal?
Look, I think that there is an understanding, definitely between us, the Americans, and even between the Arab countries who understand we are facing a terrorist organization. If Hamas chooses tomorrow to shoot rockets towards civilians, as it's been doing even during the last few weeks, then we will have to dismantle those rocket launchers.
But
we will have to target those terrorists who push those buttons to try and kill our civilians.
But multiple strikes suggests an offensive position rather than a defensive one. That seems to be what's happening today.
If there will be a ceasefire, Israel will respect it. That's what we did in the last ceasefire and the one before that and the one before that.
We're not there yet, and I wonder whether we will ever get to a peace
We haven't
deal.
signed a ceasefire.
Well, and now it looks as if your far-right coalition partners are trying to sabotage a deal. They say that if Hamas continues to exist, they'll walk out of the government.
Well, I think, and rightfully, they are concerned. This is not just a deal. This has a serious meaning on the safety of our children, on the future, on the existence of Israel, on whether a 7th of October will happen again. It has major consequences to our future, and I think rightfully they should speak about it. We should have a conversation about it.
Yeah, but if they walk out of the government, they collapse the government.
No. I mean, look, look on the last deal. That we were able to bring our hostages back, the last ceasefire deal. Ben Gvir resigned from the government. We were there, I was there with my friends to secure that government to make sure that we are able to bring back our hostages home. And so even though those threats, and I have to say that even now, they didn't say they'll immediately dismantle it, but they said that they will consider it after the first stage.
Itamar Ben Gvir says it will be a national defeat that will be an eternal disgrace and a ticking time bomb for the next massacre. This is a humiliation for Netanyahu, isn't it?
I disagree. Look, Israel is a democracy. It's not like in Gaza that wherever someone's speaking out his opinion, he'll be shot by Hamas. But Israel is a free and vibrant democracy. Many people speak, many people are marching in the streets. And I think it's good. I think it's healthy that we can voice our opinion.
Okay,
now,
so
hold on. Netanyahu, every time when there was a path, a diplomatic path, chose that path over war.
Well,
every time we chose a military campaign was because Hamas refuses to sign a ceasefire or a deal.
You say he's pursuing a diplomatic path. He's been accused of genocide by a UN commission. There are people starving, civilians starving in Gaza.
On.
That's hardly the diplomatic path. He's been bombing the place for 2 years.
Look, we are at war. A war is not a pretty sight. We never wanted that war. Israel wants peace and stability. It always wanted peace and stability. Unfortunately, on the 7th of October, Hamas declared war with the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, butchering our children, raping our little girls, burning our parents alive. What would you expect would happen after something like that? It means war. Hold on, I have to say, you know, all these lies about a genocide, even the last report. Those are 3 pro-Palestinian activists. You go through their record, through their social media. It's very clear that they are not neutral. They actually resigned even in July. Why suddenly the urgency to publish the report after they resigned from their position?
Okay,
there are so many question marks around
we don't have a lot of time to relitigate the UN Commission.
Let's talk about the facts of what is happening there.
And let's also talk about the prospect of peace.
One more word about the humanitarian issue, because you said that people are being starved, which is a lie.
Well, the aid isn't going in, is it, in the quantities that are needed?
Hundreds of trucks right now who are waiting for the United Nations to be picked up.
Right, and if your coalition partners don't sabotage the deal, and if Hamas doesn't sabotage the deal...
There are millions of meals that are being distributed every single day through the American organization, the Gaza Humanitarian Fund.
Right.
There is no starvation in Gaza. This is a complete lie.
And in Donald Trump's plan, he talks about delivering aid up to the level that has been seen in January. It's obviously not there yet. But let me talk about peace, because Donald Trump is talking about Hamas needing to move quickly. So how soon do you believe that the hostages will be freed? Are we talking days, potentially? Do you have any hope of that?
Well, once Hamas agreed to Trump's plan, from what I understand, what I read, it is 72 hours until the first stage of the deal, or the first stage of the deal is meant to be completed.
So you believe potentially we could be seeing the hostages freed within days?
I really hope so.
Do you think by accepting this plan, if he accepts this plan, and the talks go well in Egypt?
If Hamas accept the plan.
No, I'm talking about if the peace talks go well in Egypt.
We've already accepted.
Okay,
we've always chose a path of peace and diplomacy. We've accepted it already. The one who didn't yet is Hamas. If they would say yes today, 72 hours, and our hostages are free, and their murderous terrorists will be back in Gaza. Those murderous terrorists who have committed the worst crimes on the 7th of October, including those Nukhba fighters who have raped little girls and burned people alive. That's the meaning of it.
Hamas supporters were among protesters on the streets in London today. Do you think British Jews are safe in this country?
Anti-Semitism is out of control in the UK. Unfortunately, we've warned the authorities, we warned the government numerous times. Our president have sent a letter to the king warning that will be the consequence, the murder of innocent Jews. And unfortunately, what you see the same day, the day after, are celebrations of that. People who chant slogans like to globalize the Intifada. That's what it means to globalize the Intifada, to murder Jews, not just Jews, but other infidels, Christians and Jews and Hindus and anyone else that is not a jihadist. Hamas is a proscribed terrorist organization in the UK, yet they chant and celebrate Hamas down the streets. Where is the enforcement? Where is the deterrence?
On the other side of the coin, you've seen for yourself the tensions in this country, of course. I wonder if you would condemn your ministerial colleague, Amichai Chikli, for hosting the far-right activist Tommy Robinson in a few weeks' time. He's been responsible for a lot of those divisions that you're seeing played out on the streets.
Look, I have to say, the UK itself have accepted even people who were criminal.
But I'm asking you about Tommy Robinson. Would you condemn your colleague for hosting
that you have accepted into the UK, a person called Jihad, Holy Islamic War, who murdered 2 Jews?
He was born in this country.
Who was on bail because of rape charges. He's from Assyrian descent, okay? Look.
So you won't condemn your colleague for hosting Tommy Robinson?
No. People are entitled and allowed to speak out their mind.
Sharon Haskell, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.